Thank you so much, Prakash. An absolute pleasure to be talking to you today. I think we've had multiple interactions with your team in the past, but this is my first interaction, our first interaction with you. So, absolute pleasure. So, I'd obviously like to start with an overview on the industry. A very interesting sector, which is the bus space in our country. And intercity bus travel in particular, the entire landscape has been changing very rapidly, very dynamically in recent times. As a very important player in this whole ecosystem, which is redBus, what are the kind of shifts that you are seeing, both on the supply side as far as operators are concerned, and on the demand side as far as travelers are concerned, Prakash?
Yeah. See, the one remarkable change that I've seen over the last 10, 11 years where I've been part of this industry has been just the sheer growth that this industry has seen, right? And that has happened because of a lot of macro factors that are going in favor of this industry. Um, you know, we are fortunate to be in a country that is economically growing well, and transportation is, very positively indexed to economic growth, right? Because as economy grows, there are a lot of reasons for people to travel. People travel for jobs, migration from villages to towns. People travel for education, uh, tourism as income starts going up. And if you look at the other competing modes of road transport, which is basically travel by flights or rail, even compared to those modes, road is growing much faster, right? Uh, because the capacity expansion on rail has not been the same. And while air has a lot of potential for growth, I think we have had instances in the past decade or so where you've got airline companies going out and all that, right? So roads are is where the bulk of the need for transportation is being met. And also, what's happened over the last decade or so is that the road infrastructure, in terms of just the expressways and highways, that has improved a lot. That's almost doubled in length. So even that has been a big tailwind for the category to grow. These have been very, very high level macro changes. But if you were to look at from a customer experience standpoint, what has changed? I think very, very clearly the quality of experience that a bus traveler is, kind of experiencing today, that has changed for the better in a very big way, right? And that's happened because bus operators have started focusing a lot on quality. In some parts, triggered by platforms like ours, where we lay a lot of emphasis on collecting feedback from travelers and showcasing that as ratings to the platform, and in a way promoting those operators who have got better ratings, right? And therefore, operators who have over the years given better service, they are the ones who tend to come on top, and then they get more sales and more occupancy, and they become more profitable, they grow faster. So this has created some kind of a positive reinforcing loop where the quality consciousness in the entire ecosystem has gone up, as apart from people of course wanting to do better, but there has been a strong economic incentivization also to make that happen. That has been further enhanced by the kind of improvements that's happened in the buses. So if you look at the quality of the buses in the market today, the kind of interiors that people have been built out, those have really, really scaled up in terms of quality. And therefore, passengers have been experiencing that quality in terms of higher punctuality, greater comfort, people investing in training the staff better. And that has all culminated in the fact that road transport and particularly buses is amongst the fastest growing transportation sectors in the country.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Nicely summed up, Prakash. I mean, lot of factors I think driving this whole growth, and it should be exciting times to actually be part of this ecosystem more than anything at the right time, I would say. Right. Uh, just a quick thought on the Pravas Award, the Bharat Pravas Award, as they call it. The first edition is just around the corner, happening next week. Pravas is the go-to platform for the bus industry in our country. very good platform for everybody to come and exhibit, share, latest offerings with each other in the industry. But redBus has been very supportive of this award which Pravas does. What is your idea behind the same, and why do you want to sort of be a lead supporter for this initiative?
Yeah, so Pravas was launched in 2017, I think. This is when the Bus and Car Owners Confederation of India, they came together and they felt that we need to create a platform where everyone associated with the mobility and transport sector can come under one roof, right? And Pravas was established in 2017, and we thought it's a great idea. And we were one of the early sponsors and one of the major sponsors of Pravas right from the very first instance of it, because I do feel that this industry needs a platform for both for participation and recognition, right? And Pravas is a good platform like that. It's also that we've been talking about how this bus intercity bus market has been growing, and that is true for even other modes of road transport, right? There are people giving good services on when it comes to cabs, when it comes to school transport, corporate transport, and Pravas celebrates all of them, right? So I think it's very important to recognize there's a lot of hard work and toil that goes behind in terms of providing high quality experience in very very difficult operating circumstances that our bus operators face, right? And a lot of them put their heart and soul behind it, and it's very important to recognize those individuals, those companies, those corporations, right? and uh, and what better than get that recognition from the from the people that they're doing it for, which are the passengers. Now, and what better than redbus doing it, because as the primary kind of demand partner for the industry, we have a very very large footprint of bus travelers etc coming to our platform. So why don't we use that in order to take their opinion. So the redbus people's choice awards are completely led through public participation, right? It's done through voting, and every vote that somebody is casting is a vote for an operator that they really are very happy to travel with. So that is our thinking of being part of this.
Very interesting. I think you summed up the platform and its purpose pretty well, but also very good way to engage with the passengers as well. Very importantly, recognize, as you indicated, the operators who are actually giving their heart and soul into this business. So kudos to you for the for supporting this initiative more than anything, Prakash. Yeah, right.
Thank you.
Right. Just stepping back into the industry, when you spoke earlier, you mentioned about rail and air as two other modes of transport, and of course, bus is also there, but it is gaining traction due to a lot of factors, right? Now, one important aspect in better and more prevalent adoption of bus transport is policy, right? While the perception part of the puzzle is getting sorted out, you mentioned about how the quality of buses and the look and feel is at a totally different level today, let's say compared to a decade. What do you think still needs to be done on the policy side, Prakash, to sort of give a further impetus to this bus sector?
Yeah. No, I think policy also, there has been some very favorable policy which has come up, right? So while we obviously do clamor for even better policies that will help the ecosystem, we should just take a moment to recognize some of the good things that have happened. So the All India tourist permit rules and authorization rules that came up a few years ago, that has been very very positive for the industry, right? It for once and for all completely nailed this issue about whether private operators can onboard passengers from multiple points in a city and deboard them at multiple points, whether they can do individual versus group bookings. All of that has been very well clarified. And also with just one All India tourist permit now, you can cut across multiple state boundaries. So your operators don't have to pay permits for every single state, and this has led to better compliance. It has led to definitely lower cost of operations as well, and given a lot of flexibility for operators to uh, kind of change their supply or change their schedules depending on where they see demand. A case in point being, let's say the whole uh, uh, you know uh, travel demand that we saw for Kumbh. there was so much of travel demand that people wanted to go to Kumbh, that with buses, because people had all India permits, it was easy for them to use those permits to travel to Kumbh, irrespective of where they were otherwise applying their buses earlier, right? And that really helped millions of people to actually travel to a once in a lifetime kind of event, right? So some good policies have definitely taken place, and I think there is scope for more. Um, One very clear thing is in just in terms of infrastructure for bus, right? So when a person enters a bus today, like you said, the experience is much more transformed compared to what it was like a decade or 2 decades ago. There's a lot more comfort, etc. But the process of boarding the bus is still broken. It's still the same, right? And that is because of the fact that, again, if I were to contrast it with rail and air, where you've got like specialized infrastructure, like a railway station and an airport, you don't have very very focused bus terminals. And wherever bus terminals are available, that is not available for the use of private bus operators. It is reserved for only for STUs, right? So I think somewhere if we can address this particular aspect, where there could be better boarding infrastructure, that will really help passengers. It will further grow the market. It will ease a lot of convenience for a lot of the slightly more, sensitive and vulnerable part of the traveling population, like senior citizens, uh, uh, families with women, children, right? Those things will help grow the market. We can even do things like um, with a proper terminal in place, you could have connected travel, right? You could have buses coming from one place, deboarding people. People can take another, like a hopping flight, similar to that, right? So those are possibilities for us, provided we are able to, as a both from government or some kind of a PPP model, be able to have some enabling policies where we can have a good boarding infrastructure.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, covering both what has actually been done, acknowledging that is very, very important,
Yeah.
and a very relevant and a practical point as to creating better infrastructure and actually making them multimodal, which we actually see in a lot of other countries across the globe as well. So definitely something for the policymakers to actually work on.
And Bala, just one more thing, given that we are uh, a online travel company, one of the policies which came into effect a few years ago was about the fact that this is, 9.5 of the GST notification, clause 9.5, which makes it mandatory for platforms like us to collect GST on behalf of the operator and remit to the government, right? Which is fine. There's no problem there. But what it says is that for non-AC buses, which otherwise doesn't attract any GST, if the ticketing is happening through a OTA platform like us, then we have to collect a 5% GST even on non-AC buses. But the same bus, if it is booked offline or directly on a bus operator's website, then the GST is not applicable, right? So this is, we find, is a bit odd, and this is again one policy that we hope will change at some point, because people who travel by non-AC, they are very price sensitive. Even a 5% matters, and it's unfair to tax them for the convenience of booking on a online platform like us, right? So
Absolutely, very relevant point again as well. Yeah, yeah, right. Right. Something on digitalization, right? I mean, so digital is it's become like a absolute buzzword for the last many years, and it's sort of disrupting multiple industries across the globe, of course, in our country as well. But as far as the bus sector is concerned, used to be a very offline centric space, but I think for the last decade or more, it's been truly digitalized. And of course, redBus has been a very important disruptor in this entire scheme of things, right? What more do you think can be done? And how can digital platforms like yours kind of help for more formalize and professionalize this whole sector? Where do you think there are still untapped opportunities, Prakash?
yeah, look, I think it's a very good question, Bala. So if you look at digitization, I think it has been moving in waves. So when we first started out, of course, we started out from Bangalore, and you had the operators who would be operating from Bangalore and Hyderabad and Chennai and Pune, right? And these routes, they were the ones to embrace digitization and come online first, right? And over time, as we have um, uh, worked in this market and people have seen the benefits of digitization, this is a spread. Therefore, then it went to tier two towns, markets like Coimbatore, Madurai, Mysore, Mangalore, um, Vizag, Vijayawada. So operators from here became online. Then it went further down to tier three towns uh, like Jalgaon, Latur. I'm just giving some examples. Let's say from Maharashtra this time. But now the opportunities to go even further down, pop strata, and go down to even buses which are plying on very, very short routes, right? That is, here buses are plying on very short routes at high levels of frequency, typically completely offline. And even here, the fundamental premise that a customer values of making an online booking is seat reservation, right? Because they are able to lock a seat for themselves. And even in some of these smaller sectors, which are like maybe 100 kilometers only in terms of travel distance, even there, I think the aspiration for people is to go up. Earlier, people would just go, the bus would stop at multiple points, people have to stand and all of that, right? But the aspirations as income levels are going up, as people are seeing, getting used to more comfortable things in other aspects of life, the aspiration that, okay, let me travel a bit better. Can I reserve a seat for myself, right? These things, these aspirations are coming up, and that is what we want to tap into. And the number of buses that what I'm talking to you about is humongous, is enormous. What we the buses which are connected to our platform today represents probably only about 20 to 25% of the overall number of buses which are plying between cities in the country, right? So that is the level of work that we have to do next in terms of going to the further deeper down, and even enabling many of these operators to come online, right? That is where digitization by itself is going through. The other aspect in terms of professionalization, formalization is already happening with GST and all of that. People to in order to now come online and work, because with 9.5 we are doing the GST collection, etc. Already this is putting some pressure on formalization. On professionalization, it is really about, I think, how do people, one of the aspects of professionalization is that, how do you continuously keep getting better at what you do, right? And to keep getting better at what you do, you need a lot of insights which are based on data, right? And that is what uh, we as redBus are able to provide to our supply partners through a interface that we give them called Red Pro, where they get a lot of insights about their own business, right? Like I told you that we collect ratings and reviews from operators. So we use AI to give very, very specific feedback back to the operators. They can get all kinds of details that they want at a passenger level, but we also abstract it out, give them an AI based summary of what people are saying about a service, what all things do they need to improve. If it's about punctuality, then at which points in the journey are they being late? How do they change the times? How do they get better at punctuality? If any amenity is not working, we point that out because this feedback has been given by a customer sitting on this seat, that the charging point is not working or a light is not working. So we give a lot of specific feedback to operators to improve their operations. We also, the other aspect is about yield improvement, right? How do you, because this is a perishable inventory market. In any perishable inventory situation, it is very, very important to be able to maximize your yield by doing your pricing in a way that is dynamic. You need to respond to the demand and supply situation, right? And therefore, redBus, given that we have got a lot of demand signals, we use that to create a product called RevMax, which is a yield management software which is plugged into the operator's reservation system and does pricing for the operator, right? it changes the price in a dynamic fashion by taking into account future demand, by taking into account the elasticity of the bus operator, by taking into account what is competition doing on that route. All of these are factors, and this is designed in order to improve the yield of the operator overall, right? So these are tools that we are, and I've just pointed out two of those. There are many such things that we do in order to give operators a lot of data-backed insights, which help them keep improving their business and becoming more profitable and more efficient.
Right. I mean, just going back to your first part of your answer, where you spoke about the opportunities. I mean, it is simply mind blowing when you think of our country and this particular sector. I mean, the opportunities are and the potential is infinite. Actually. So, I mean, great that you're constantly looking at where to grow, and it's also helping the industry and the entire country grow in a certain way. Right. That's phenomenal on that side. And to your other part, I wouldn't want to take too long, but a candid feedback. I also use redBus quite a bit. Any kind of bus booking, and I mean it's seamless, right? The whole experience is so seamless, and I always remember that there is a feedback that asks even from on the booking experience. In my case, it's always 9 or 10, and also it asks whether even I would recommend redBus to anybody. So I think very well covered and very interesting that there's so much of work that goes behind giving a seamless platform for the user or the passenger as well. So wonderful in that sense.
Thank you, Bala. I really appreciate
Right,
Thank
right,
you.
right. So digital and digitization is on one side, and on the other side, there is this absolutely big chorus, again, not just in India, globally as well, about sustainable mobility, sustainable transportation, right? So electrification is one very important arm or way this is getting executed. What is redBus doing to sort of support and drive this whole green transition that we're seeing, since you're right at the heart of this ecosystem?
I think when it comes to electrification, the intercity mobility is probably very well positioned for its transition from fossil fuels to electrification, right? Because one of the aspects of a EV bus is that it is the capex is much higher than a traditional bus, and therefore, in any situation where you've got higher capex, you need to be able to sweat that capex a lot more, which means that your bus has to be used a lot more. It has to run many more kilometers for it to, because the OPEX is low, the operating cost is low. So if you're able to run it for much longer time frame, then you're able to recover your capex faster and make more money in the process, right? So therefore, I think intercity segment, because buses run a lot here, is far more well suited for EVs than even intracity, right? Um, but however, yet so far the penetration of EVs in intercity has been very small, right? Whereas we see that on intracity, there is a lot more penetration of EVs. Many of the, like I'm in Bangalore, so many of the BMTC buses are electric. Same is true in BEST in Mumbai. I'm sure that's the case in Chennai as well. And that is because of very different reasons. I don't want to get into that because of subsidies, etc., which is not there on the private side. But having said that, one of the reasons why electrification has not taken off as much is because operators are not fully convinced about the total cost of operation of EVs being lower than the alternative that they have, right? And this is something that needs more work to happen. Uh, some of the lack of certainty here stems from the fact that we yet don't have um, proven track record, right? So people are still not sure about what is the residual value of a bus, of a EV bus, what is the resale value of a EV bus. But having said that, there have been early movers in this market. There have been some of our uh, key bus operator partners have had all electric fleet, and now they have been in the market for a good 3-4 years. So some of these data points is getting established, right? Now, and because of this lack of data points, even things like financing for EV buses is a bit of a struggle. The traditional financing companies which are happy to finance regular bus, a diesel bus, because they understand the economics really well, are not completely forthcoming when it comes to financing EV buses. And therefore that is one clear issue, and you need financing even for things like your captive infrastructure for charging, right? So the capex requirements go up even more. So the way we are trying to play a role here is to partner with many of the ecosystem players, right? So we are partnering with OEMs in the EV space. We are partnering with companies which are wanting to do either lending or leasing by giving them comfort around collections, right? So these are some things that we are doing to in order to lubricate the market and see whether we can get some of the early success stories going. And later on, it has to be a model that proves itself, right? It's not something that if government is not going to step in and give a subsidy, then it has to be commercially viable for it to run. So you can't push water upstream, right? So from our standpoint, we want to really partner with ecosystem players, get some critical number of installations going, and then that those become the proof points in the market, and that then leads to much wider adoption and much wider penetration of EVs in the market.
Absolutely, absolutely. And intra-city is a good example, right? I mean, India is a market where there is a lot of initial resistance, but once there is a certain proof, and then the whole market, completely just jumps onto the other side. Another aspect probably would be, Prakash, the charging time that that's required on intercity. That is probably another small bottleneck at an operational level, right? When we try to adopt to EV buses.
Yeah, you're true, Bala. That's right, Bala. Because see, uh, right now the where we have seen success of EV buses are on routes where they can do that route in one charge, right? So routes which are typically less than 300 kilometers, EVs have fared well. But the moment you go beyond that, and if it requires a stop, then it's a bit of a problem. Having said that, there are newer buses which are coming in, which come with a claimed range of 450 kilometers. The real range could be up to 350, 370, and that will further expand the number of routes that you can cover, right? Um, and as technology keeps evolving, I think the number of the sweet spot where EVs can operate, that will keep increasing. The number of routes will keep increasing.
Absolutely, and also add to it technology like fast charging. I
Yeah.
think I think this should be broken pretty well. And but again, I mean, kudos to redBus to actually try and focus on solutions by partnering and collaborating rather than just get stuck with the problem on that front as well. So great, great going. Right. Couple of last questions, Prakash. Globally, so redBus is today not just an Indian company. You have well and truly expanded your wings outside of India, which is obviously probably the next natural step. What have your biggest learnings been when, let's say, you've operated in markets like Colombia, Peru, Indonesia, a few others as well? Um, cross migration of ideas and learning from these markets. Can you give us an overview?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the core learnings has been that while every market has its specific nuances, the underlying needs don't change that much, right? So customers still want ample selection and choice. They want good pricing. They want highly rated buses. They want friendly cancellation and reschedule policies. On the other hand, bus operators want early occupancy. They want better price realization. They want predictable cash flows. So the fundamental needs of the participants don't change, but there could be certain nuances in the market that could change, right? So for us, whatever learning that we have had operating in India for the last 19 years has been extremely useful in terms of being able to take those learnings and deploy it in other markets that we have launched, and combat problems, challenges with the learnings that we have had here, that has helped us, stood us in good stead. Conversely, there are also things that we have picked up from other markets, which then becomes a platform feature, and then that's taken to all markets. I mean, I can talk about a couple of examples. One is, in India, when people search for buses, they typically search for between cities. They search for between, say, Bangalore to Coimbatore, for instance. Whereas in some of our other international markets, Malaysia, for instance, people search for boarding point to dropping point. They look for a terminal, which is in southern part of, let's say, Kuala Lumpur, TBS it's called. So they will say TBS, Kuala Lumpur to Little India in Singapore, right? Now, our platform had to be architected a bit differently, had to be changed in order to, because we moved from a city to city architecture to now supporting a boarding point to dropping point search, right? But once we calibrated our platform to support this, this became a feature that we could take to every other geography, including in India, right? So now when you search in India, when you put Bangalore, it will automatically populate all the key boarding points of Bangalore, and it will ask you, you have the option to search for, let's say, Madiwala to Coimbatore, right? So you have that option today. Or if you're going, like, keeping the Bangalore Coimbatore example, you can say, let's say, Silk Board Junction to Hope's Circle in Coimbatore, like that, right? You can. So because one of the advantages of buses, as again opposed to trains and flights, where you've got one airport or one or two major stations, buses tend to pick people and drop people at multiple points in the city. So boarding point, dropping point is a very good way when you are, wanting to look for a bus, because you want to minimize the first mile and last mile travel, right? So this boarding point, dropping point search has become a key differentiator for us in India. The feature got built because of a need for a different market, right? The other example I can talk about is, like, in India, we have always had only online payments, right? But in Indonesia, for instance, we have a case where customers go and pay money to into supermarkets. So they can go to Indomaret and Alphamart. These are supermarkets. They go there and they make the payment, and Indomart kind of, Marit then confirms to us it's a integration with them. So this is an offline booking process, right? Now, offline booking process is something that we developed for Indonesia, but we found that it was very useful for even markets like Colombia and Peru, which also had offline booking modes. So these are ways in which we have created some um, specific features to cater to one market. Then we bake it into the platform, and then we make it available. And many times there is cross pollination that happens from that. The other thing that we figured is, Southeast Asia, for example, in Malaysia in particular, people also depend on ferries for transport, right? There's a lot of travel happening through ferry, and therefore we built out ferries in Malaysia. Now that is a very useful product for us in both in Singapore and in Indonesia as well. So these are some ways in which we have, kind of taken learnings and expanded that.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Any update on the markets that are in the pipeline that you'd want to reach out to or already working on?
So apart from the markets that I mentioned right now in our conversation, there are two markets that we have launched very recently. One is Vietnam, which is a very, very critical, large market, many number of bus operators, a lot of reliance on bus transport. And another market that we've launched is Cambodia, right? So these are two new markets where we are looking to kind of really expand. We have launched there only recently. Beyond this, we are constantly on the lookout for, more inorganic opportunities on in the way we can expand our business in international markets.
Wonderful, wonderful. Truly growing global, if I should say, because you've already gone global. But I good luck for that to continue, Prakash. Right? I mean, I've just come to the last question that I have in my mind. I can add if there's something more. Medium to long term, what does your vision look like? I mean, you are probably the largest ticketing platform, but I'm sure you want to become something much larger and much more holistic than that, more like a mobility ecosystem enabler, right? So going forward, what are your goals, targets over the long term?
See, actually, there's a campaign line that we had for a campaign that we shot a few years ago. It in Hindi it was like redBus apno ko sapno ko kareeb laye, right? It brings your dreams and your close people at your duties, etc., closer to closer to that. And really, it has been a line that guides us. We are not restricted by a particular mode or medium of transport. It is about really enabling people to come closer to their dreams. It could be people traveling um, for a dream vacation. It could be people traveling for interviewing for a dream job. It could be people traveling together to celebrate a special occasion, somebody going back home for Diwali, all of these aspects, right? So we want to be really enablers of human connections that people make by enabling very very seamless and uh, you know travel experiences that are very enjoyable, right? And to that extent, we have really gone beyond, even on the bus side, beyond becoming a bus ticketing platform to a true travel companion, because we provide, like you said, you're a user of redbus. Our job, we don't think our job ends with helping somebody book a ticket. We are there along the journey by providing timely reminders, live tracking journey updates, being available for with a 24/7 and a responsive call center to solve any problems along the way. So that has been our mission about really helping people, achieve more in life. And we are a two-sided marketplace, right? So it's travelers on one hand, the other is our supply partners, and even there our philosophy is the same. It is really about helping our supply partners realize their dreams of running a sustainable, profitable, prosperous business, right? And helping them grow their revenues by being a technology partner to them and enabling their business operations in a way that they find valuable. So that has been the guiding motto for us, and we will do whatever it takes in order to further this mission that I spoke about.
Wonderful, wonderful. I mean, it's only fitting that while you spoke about a lot of technology at the back, I mean, I'm sure that is right at the heart of it. But it's only fitting that we're actually concluding with a people-centric note. I mean, you beautifully summed it up as well. I'd want to conclude with a personal, take. How satisfying is it for you to lead a company that's well and truly across the country, very well known, very well respected as well? How is it for you? How must be very satisfying as well.
Yeah, and I can speak not just for myself, but all the 950 people that work in redbus. And whatever I'm saying, I'm echoing the sentiments of everyone. I think we all take a lot of pride. We also feel humbled by the fact that so many travelers, repose their trust on us, that we are able to really support the livelihood and growth of our business partners as well. And just one data point, like the 15th August long weekend that happened, right? On the day on the long weekend on Sunday, when a lot of people were coming back, we had more than 500,000 people that very night. 500,000 to 510,201 people. More than 500,000 people who traveled on a redbus ticket on that one particular day itself, right? So that you know uh, is, like I said, a humbling moment, but we also are conscious of our sense of responsibility to make sure that we put our best foot forward so that everyone gets to travel comfortably.
Wonderful. Great to hear. I mean, staggering numbers, I would say, and definitely that would add to kind of satisfaction that you would have, Prakash. So, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you'd like to add that I specifically not asked you, if at all there is anything?
No, I just wanted to conclude by saying that this redbus People's Choice Award is happening as part of Bharat Pravas Awards, which is an event that is happening on the 11th of September at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi.
Sure, sure, absolutely. And I will be there. I look forward to meeting you there. And of course, it's going to be a great occasion, a congregation of the bus and the transport sector there as well. So, absolute pleasure talking to you. I mean, listening to your insights as well. So, thank you so much. And best wishes to continue to what you're doing amazingly well. Yeah.
Thank you, Bala. Absolutely my pleasure. And look forward to meeting you in person soon.